Peace family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about not being generic and not being a complacent robot. You know what I mean? Generic meaning just try to do what you can to not be like the majority or the masses. And one small way, like, to start working on these things, like if you don't know where to go and how to start with your language, how you speak, how you communicate outwardly. You know, it's so much surface level talk out here that just waste words, breath, energy, time, everything, you know? So if this stuff is a waste of time to you, then spiritually you have to prove that it's a waste of time by not continuously indulging in it. You know what I mean? So it's some beings out here who complain about it being, you know, it's a lot of things to complain about out here, right? But instead of being in a space of complaining, allow yourself to acknowledge the negative or the lower vibration things that's happening with that event or that being, and project something different. A way that I start in a lot of beings that's like connected to the digital world, you know, we start ours with, I know some would say grand rising on the AM, and then me, I'm a good day kind of person. You know, it's easy saying good day and grand rising through a text message. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot harder to remember to be your own being when you're out in public and somebody says, hi, how are you? You know, or just say, they say hi or good morning, you know, but normally you say grand rising. I'm a good day being, you know, normally I say good day. You have to be self-aware to the point to where I walk in a store and they're like, hey, good morning. I'm like, good day. You know, I have to make sure I'm not giving the basic generic response back, you know, the immediate robotic response, the one that just comes natural. Like when somebody says good morning, you usually say good morning right back. You know, it's kind of like, it's kind of like they said it, so I have to say it. You know what I'm saying? Somebody say, how are you doing? Good, good. When you know really you're not doing good, but you try to brush past not addressing what's really going on, because probably one of those beings you don't really feel like diving that deep with. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to those kind of ones where it gets a little tricky, where you're saying like, hey, how are you doing? How's things going? You know, you don't, if it's somebody that you really don't give that much energy to, you know, you don't really care to allow them in your space that way, you don't have to give them no full explanation, but don't give them just the bullshit good, you know, good, I'm doing all right. Figure out a way to communicate that's different for you, but that still has a higher frequency condensation to it. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody asks me like, hey, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm not in the best mood today, but then I'll list some other things that I'm working on, or I may just acknowledge the things that I'm working on currently, you know what I'm saying, and not put that much emphasis on what actually I have going on, because you're not going to want to get personal with everybody you talk to, right? But what kind of got me to the subject today was we deal with a lot of people that's around us, that's close to us in our personal space, right? And let's say this like a coworker or somebody. Like, you could be fucked up in a position where you just wrecked your car, or maybe something happened and your transportation is fucked up at work, you know what I'm saying? Your coworkers, you'll have somebody be like, hey, how are you doing? Or they'll ask you something pertaining to how they can help you, but it won't be beneficial to a ride. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, say you need a ride to work. They'll be like, hey, I can bring you some lunch tomorrow. You know, I can make sure I pack enough lunch tomorrow. And in your mind, it's like, that could be good. You know, that could be helpful. Maybe you haven't been fixing your food, or you don't feel like paying for food at work. It could be helpful. You know what I'm saying? But when you weigh out that plus needing the ride to work, which one would you need more? Do you need a dish for when you get to work? Or would you need that ride to even get to work? You know what I mean? So like, understanding, like, a lot of this communication out here is witchy as fuck. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of beings, like, don't want to put themselves out there and make themselves vulnerable. But the thing is like, putting yourself out there and making yourself vulnerable is where you're gonna build your strength at. And nobody wants to get hurt intentionally, right? But how else do you learn without putting yourself in positions to know? You have to. You have to. You know what I'm saying? So unless you just are the creator himself or herself, you know, I believe it's just an energetic thing. I don't believe it's a he or a she. You know what I'm saying? That's neither here nor there. You know what I mean? But just being mindful and aware of, like, the surface level conversations and the immediate robotic responses that you give to people. You know what I mean? So I know for me, when I first started growing into this space, like, I didn't want to say grand rising because I know a lot of other beings were saying it, and I'm just creator. There's nothing wrong with grand rising. That's actually pretty good. Just for me, it's like, I find something good, and that's like, how can I put my own sauce on it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I fuck with this, but like, how can I put my own drip on it? And then most I hear say grand rising, I'm a good day. So when I walk in the stores, I walk into places, and they're saying good morning, it's an automatic self-awareness thing, because my first immediate response would be to say good morning, you know? And if I'm not using that terminology anymore, then I have to figure out a way to be me and to communicate me outwardly comfortably. So you'll have people in your space that will be willing to help and assist or to communicate with you in some kind of regular, basic, generic way. But we have to understand communication and language. Like, it should be something that you're doing daily for the rest of your life, like hygiene. You know what I'm saying? Taking care of yourself. Even if you're not a person, I'm not saying, brush your teeth every day for the rest of your life. I'm not saying you take a shower 5 times a day every day for the rest of your life. I'm just saying, like, hygiene is something that we all are aware of and that we do. Even the animals in nature groom themselves so that way they can get picked or do the choosing themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's no different with us. The hygiene, the same way we keep up our maintenance and do these things, should be the same way we're keeping up with our communication and our language. You know what I'm saying? And our self-awareness. Your self-awareness is going to go hand in hand. You know what I mean? So why be one of them beings who just, who has a habit of giving generic responses when you know you're doing it and it doesn't feel right and you could do something differently about it? You know what I'm saying? And I just only use the good morning, grand rising, good days, because those are like immediate first thing in the AM kind of things that, most of us do. It's easy to send that text message to say it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people in my space, or that eventually migrates into my space, a lot of them are gonna be doing the real peace sign. A lot of them are gonna be saying good day and using more of the language that I decided to incorporate into my dialogue as well, because all of this shit is shared information. So even with me thinking that I'm putting my own sauce on it, really, it is to a certain degree because it's coming from me. So it's kind of like with any of us, anything we touch, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like your kids, if they write something on a piece of paper, like you kind of value that shit a little bit more. So they kind of put their sauce on it. Not saying like your sauce, like, it's like this to infinity and beyond shit. You know what I'm saying? Your sauce just meaning you put you on there. You know what I'm saying? You made it you. These are going to be huge, you know what I'm saying? Because you're going to have a lot of beings where you're going out moving around that's going to hit you with the good morning. You're going to have a lot of beings through any time throughout the day that's going to ask you, how are you? How are you? Don't ask me how am I if you're not genuinely concerned with how I am, and if you're not concerned with helping me in my space. Simple process, because I wouldn't ask nobody that I'm not concerned for them and I'm not willing to help them or extend a hand. You know what I mean? I wouldn't just say it just to say it and then be like, I was just asking because because I care, and asking is how you show you care. Well, to a certain degree, but most beings that's asking this shit is not empathetic, so they aren't feeling what you feel. They don't really process what you're going through. They're just asking because it's a basic way of creating surface level conversation. You know what I mean? And surface level conversation, once you get past a certain space, you understand surface level conversation has been manipulated for the opposition to use as a tactic. You know what I'm saying? Surface level conversation is nothing really negative about it. You know what I'm saying? Until you get to the opposition using it as a tactic to be harmful or selfish. You know what I'm saying? So that's when everything changes. I would never look at the physical aspect of something and say that's bad or that's negative. I would look at the spiritual background of it, you know, and the meaning, like, okay, and the energy that's being placed into it. You know what I'm saying? It's like if the greater good was in charge of this system, it would be a reflection of the people. We would all be walking around reflecting the leader in charge. What's happening now is we have a witchy leader, so the people are walking around reflecting the witchy ass fucking leader. You know what I'm saying? So in order to add substance and know where your substance is at, you have to be able to be self-aware to even know, okay, this is the Twinkie and this is the cream filling. You know what I'm saying? Or this is the cake batter and this is the cream filling, and we're gonna stick it together and call it a Twinkie. However you want to word it and pull it. You know what I'm saying? But just know that the opposition will use it as a tactic to be selfish or just no empathy. So to them, it doesn't even cross their space the same way it would cross our space if the shoes were flipped. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't want to run it up too long. You know what I'm saying? Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.